Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the Defiance. Through the large window, he could see the colors of hyperspace swirling like a strange painting. His crew worked quietly at their stations. They were all nervous but trying not to show it. Today was the day humanity would meet the Galactic Council for the first time. Lieutenant Amy Richardson sat at the navigation controls. She looked up at Jake and said, "Captain, we are getting close to the station. We will drop out of hyperspace in 30 seconds. Jake nodded and pulled his uniform straight. He knew this moment was important. Earth had only learned how to travel faster than light 15 years ago. Now they were joining hundreds of other alien species in the galaxy. What Jake did not know was that humans had developed their technology in a very strange way. The ship shook a little as it came out of hyperspace. In front of them was Unity Station, a massive structure that looked like a small city floating in space. It was beautiful and shiny, with hundreds of different alien ships around it. Some ships looked alive and organic. Others were sharp and geometric. Ben Carter, the communications officer, spoke up. "Captain, we are getting a call from the station. It is the station master, an alien called Keshavar." Jake said, "Put him on the screen." The main screen changed to show a being that looked like a giant praying mantis with blue armor. Its mouthparts moved in what the translation computer said was a friendly greeting. "Welcome, humans of Earth," the alien said. "I am Keshavar. We are happy to welcome you as the 847th member species to the Galactic Council. Please go to Docking Bay 73. Our officers will meet you there." Jake smiled and replied, "Thank you, Keshavar. We are honored to be here." As the ship moved toward the docking bay, Lisa Grant, the science officer, walked up to Jake. She looked worried. "Captain, I have been scanning the other ships around us." "Something is strange," Jake asked. "What do you mean?" Lisa explained. "I am not seeing any regular weapons on these ships. No railguns, no missiles, nothing like what we use. They only have energy weapons like lasers." Jake frowned. "Maybe they moved past regular weapons a long time ago. We always knew we might be behind them in technology." Lisa shook her head. "That is the strange part, sir. According to the information they sent us, most alien species develop energy weapons early in their space age. But we have had railgun technology for over 200 years, and we only made working laser weapons 10 years ago." Jake thought about this. "Keep track of that information, Lisa. Let us see what else we learn." The ship docked smoothly, and soon Jake was walking through the clean, white corridors of Unity Station with his senior officers. Commander Pete Hayes walked beside him, looking at everything carefully. A small floating ball led them through the station. It said it was a service drone. They arrived at a huge room filled with hundreds of alien beings. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Jake could barely understand what he was seeing. In the center of the room was a raised platform with 7 aliens sitting at a curved table. These were the leaders of the Galactic Council, representatives of the oldest and most powerful civilizations. A tall, thin alien with silver skin stood up. It had too many joints in its arms and legs. "I am Sorath, speaker for the Council," it said. "Humans of Earth, you have achieved faster than light travel. Before we accept you, we must understand your people and your technology. This is normal for all new species." Jake replied, "We understand. We are ready to answer your questions." Sorath continued, "Good. First, please tell us about your journey to the stars. What technology did you develop and in what order?" Jake looked at Lisa, who stepped forward with a computer pad. "We are happy to explain," she said. "Humanity developed steam power in the late 1700s. Then we made electricity, engines that burn fuel, and nuclear power by the mid-1900s. Several council members leaned forward with interest. Lisa went on. "We reached space in 1957. We landed on our moon in 1969. We built permanent space stations by the late 1900s. We developed railgun technology in the early 2000s, and we perfected it by 2087. Our first military ships with railguns were ready by 2134. A wave of surprised sounds went through the room. Sorath raised a hand for silence. "Excuse me, but did you say railguns? Weapons that shoot solid objects using magnetic force?" Lisa confirmed. "Yes, we use them for military and civilian purposes. Everything from ship battles to launching cargo into orbit." Another council member that looked like glowing crystals asked, "And when did you develop energy weapons?" "Plasma cannons or laser weapons?" Lisa answered. "We have experimental laser systems, but they are not as good as our railguns." They use too much power for the damage they cause. We focused on making our railgun systems better instead. They work better and are easier to fix. The room erupted in shocked talking. Aliens turned to each other with expressions of disbelief. Sarath called for order again. This is very unusual. Please continue. Lisa read from her pad. We created fusion power in 2156. That gave us the energy we needed for long space trips. We made our hyperspace drive in 2235. We have been exploring nearby stars ever since. The crystal alien asked, and teleportation? The ability to move matter from one place to another instantly? Lisa looked confused. We have theories about it, but nothing that works. The energy needed is huge, and we cannot solve the physics problems. The council chamber went silent. Sorath looked at the other council members with an expression that might have been shock. Finally, Sorath spoke again. Humans, do you understand what you just told us? You developed kinetic weapons before energy weapons. You achieved faster than light travel before teleportation. This is backwards, Pete Hayes spoke up. Backwards? What do you mean? Another council member with fur and many eyes stood. I am Vexala. In all of galactic history, across 846 civilizations, every single species developed energy weapons before kinetic weapons. Every species achieved teleportation before faster than light travel. It is the natural order, Jake asked. But why? Kinetic weapons are simpler. You just speed up a heavy object. Energy weapons need complex systems and huge power supplies. And teleportation is much harder than just bending space for travel. Vexala's eyes blinked one after another. Simple? Kinetic weapons need enormous energy to speed up objects enough to be useful. Energy weapons are much more efficient. Lisa's eyes went wide. You developed teleportation first, so you never needed escape pods or shuttlecraft. And you developed energy weapons first, so you never explored kinetic acceleration. Sorath confirmed, exactly. The question is, why did humanity take such an unusual path? Pete laughed. Because we are stubborn and practical. Why develop complicated teleportation when a rocket works fine? Why use a laser when a bullet does the job? Vexala asked, a bullet? Pete explained, a small object we shoot from guns. We have been using them for over 1,000 years. Using magnets to speed them up was just the next step. Sorath sat back down. Humans, you may have found something the galaxy has overlooked for thousands of years. We must study this more. Welcome to the Galactic Council. I suspect your membership will be very interesting. As the ceremony ended and the humans were shown to their rooms, Jake felt that they had revealed something very important. The galaxy had followed one path to the stars, but humanity had taken a completely different one. In the darkness of space, where survival often depended on who had the better weapons and faster ships, that difference might matter more than anyone realized. The humans spent their first week at Unity Station, meeting with different alien species and learning about galactic culture. But the real surprise came when they visited the station's research center. Dr. Nathan Cross was Earth's top physicist. He had invented humanity's hyperspace drive. Now he stood looking at a holographic display that showed the design of a standard Galactic Council warship. Next to him, Chief Engineer Karen Wells stared at the information with growing shock. Karen pointed at the screen. This cannot be right. Their main weapon is a plasma gun that uses 2.4 terawatts of power. That sounds impressive, but it only works at 50,000 kilometers away. Their guide was a scholarly alien named Threshka. He clicked his mouthparts and said, yes, at greater distances the plasma spreads out too much to cause real damage. Most space battles happen within 30,000 kilometers for best accuracy. Nathan pulled up the information about the Defiance's main railgun. Our primary weapon fires a 200-kilogram tungsten rod at 4% the speed of light. It works perfectly at 2 million kilometers, and the rod keeps all its power until it hits something. Threshka's antenna stood straight up in alarm. That is impossible. The energy needed to speed up such a heavy object to those speeds would drain a ship's entire power supply. Karen smiled. It does drain our power. That is why we use capacitor banks. We charge them over several minutes from our fusion reactor, then release all the energy in one shot. Our main gun needs about 40 seconds to recharge after each shot. Threshka asked weakly. And the range? Surely the projectile's path becomes unpredictable at such long distances, Nathan explained. We use computer predictions. The computer calculates where the target will most likely be based on their current movement, then fires along that path. At 4% light speed, the rod crosses 2 million kilometers in about 16 seconds. Most ships cannot dodge in that time. Threshka was quiet for a long moment. Then he tapped his own computer. I must contact the council immediately. They need to understand what this means. Within hours, Captain Morrison was back in the council chamber. This time the atmosphere was tense. The 7 council leaders sat in their seats with serious expressions. Sorath spoke first. Captain Morrison, we have reviewed your weapons technology carefully. You need to understand something about galactic history. For the past 12,000 years, wars in space have followed certain rules. Ships fight at close range with energy weapons. Shields absorb or deflect the energy. The side with stronger shields or more power wins, Jake observed. Sounds like most battles end in a draw. Vexala admitted. They do. Wars are usually decided by which side runs out of money first, not by military victories. This has encouraged peace among the council species, Jake said. But our railguns change everything. Sorath confirmed. Dramatically, your kinetic weapons ignore energy shields. They cannot be deflected or absorbed. A 200-kilogram rod traveling at those speeds carries enough power to destroy a battleship, no matter what defenses it has. And your range advantage means you can fire before we can shoot back. Commander Hayes whistled softly. We could fight a council fleet and destroy their ships before they could even hit us. The Crystal Council member, whose name was Luminar, said, Exactly. When we learned humanity developed faster than light travel before teleportation, we were just curious. But railguns before energy weapons makes you perhaps the most dangerous military force in known space. Jake felt a chill. We did not come here to threaten anyone. We came seeking friendship, Sorath assured him. We believe you. But you must understand our position. There are groups in the galaxy who would pay heavily for your weapons. There are others who would want to destroy humanity before you become a threat. And some would want to use your unusual technology for themselves. Jake asked carefully. What are you saying? Vexala stood. We are saying that humanity's admission to the Galactic Council is no longer simple. It is now a matter of galactic security. Back on the Defiance, Jake gathered his senior officers in the conference room. Lisa pulled up a star map showing Earth and its colonies. We are vulnerable, she said bluntly. We have 17 colony worlds, 3 major shipyards, and 42 warships total. If the Council decided we were a threat, they could send thousands of ships against us. Pete argued, but we have the advantage. Our weapons have 40 times their range. Our ships are faster because we do not waste power on energy weapons and shields, Ben said. Numbers still matter. 42 ships cannot defend 17 worlds no matter how good our weapons are. Nathan had been quiet, but now he spoke. There is something else. I have been studying the Council's technology closely. They have been following the same development path for thousands of years. Energy weapons, teleportation, anti-gravity, energy shields. It is all connected, built on the same basic ideas. Karen asked, So what is our problem? Nathan corrected her. Our advantage. They have optimized their technology for one type of war. We developed something completely different. But more importantly, they stopped innovating in certain areas because they thought those areas were impossible, or not worth it. Jake leaned forward. What are you saying, Nathan? Nathan explained. I am saying that humanity's backwards approach might have given us technology the Council never even thought about. We focused on kinetic energy because we did not have the power for energy weapons. We developed better fusion reactors to power our railguns. Those reactors made faster-than-light travel possible for us much earlier than teleportation could have. Lisa's eyes widened. You think there are other technologies we have that they do not? Nathan replied, I am certain of it. For example, they use anti-gravity for ship movement. It is elegant and efficient, but we use fusion drives which are crude, but create enormous thrust. Our ships can accelerate much faster than a council vessel. Jake commanded, Show me. Nathan pulled up comparison data. A standard council cruiser can maintain 2 Gs of acceleration. The Defiance can maintain 8 Gs, and our newer destroyers can hit 12 Gs in short bursts. Karen whistled. No wonder Threshka seemed shocked when we talked about combat moves. We can literally fly circles around them. Nathan continued, It gets better. Because we developed railguns, we had to develop advanced materials. Our ships are armored with special composite hulls designed to survive kinetic impacts. Council ships have minimal armor because energy shields do most of the defensive work. Pete summarized. So we are faster, we hit harder from longer range, and we have better armor. The only thing they have that we do not is teleportation. Lisa added, which is mostly useful for transport and evacuation, not really a game changer in combat. Jake sat back, thinking. We need to be very careful how we present this to the council. If they see us as a threat, they will unite against us. But if we can convince them that our differences make us valuable allies, we might have a chance. Ben asked, how do we do that? Jake said, by showing them what we can offer. Nathan, how quickly could you put together a joint research proposal? Something that combines council technology with human engineering. Nathan thought for a moment. A few days, maybe. What do you have in mind? Jake explained. The council has had peace for thousands of years because their weapons reached a stalemate. But that also means they are vulnerable to anyone who breaks the pattern. There are species out there who are not part of the council, who might not play by the rules. Lisa said. The frontier regions. I have heard rumors of pirate fleets and rogue states beyond council space. Jake confirmed. Exactly. What if we offered to help the council develop defensive systems based on human kinetic technology? Not weapons for conquest, but protection against threats they might not be ready for? Pete nodded slowly. Show them we are not a threat, we are an asset, Karen added. And in the process we learn their technology and they learn ours. Everyone benefits, Nathan warned. It is risky. Once we share our secrets, we lose our advantage. Jake countered. We were never going to keep it secret forever. Better to control how it spreads than to have it stolen. Besides, if we are going to be part of the galactic community, we need to contribute something more than just fear. Lisa pulled up the council charter on her computer. There is a rule here for technology sharing agreements. It is rarely used because most species develop along similar lines, but it is designed exactly for situations like this, Jake decided. Then that is our plan. We propose a joint human council defense project. We share our kinetic weapons technology and advanced materials. They share their energy systems and anti-gravity technology. Everyone benefits, Ben asked. And if they refuse? Jake's expression hardened. Then we will know where we stand and we can plan accordingly. But I would rather try cooperation before we assume the worst. Nathan said quietly. There is one more thing. If I am right about humanity's development giving us unique technology, we should probably figure out what else we have that they do not. Before someone else does. The room fell silent as everyone thought about what that meant. Humanity had stumbled into the galactic community with technology that should not exist, following a path that went against all normal wisdom. The question now was whether that made them valuable allies or dangerous threats. 3 weeks after humanity's first meeting with the Council, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of Unity Station. Around him were members of the Galactic Council. Through the massive window, they could see an artificial asteroid field floating in space. The asteroids had been put there specifically for weapons testing. Sorath gestured to the display. Captain Morrison, the Council has reviewed your proposal for a joint defense program. Before we make any decisions, we would like to see your railgun technology in action. Jake replied, Of course. We expected that. The Defiance is ready. In the distance, the human warship moved into position. Its angular hull looked very different from the smooth, curved shapes of Council vessels. The ship was relatively small by galactic standards, barely 400 meters long, but it looked powerful and dangerous. Threshka stood nearby with monitoring equipment. His mouth parts clicked nervously. The target asteroids are between 100 and 500 meters across. They are made of iron and nickel, similar to natural space rocks. Standard Council plasma weapons need multiple hits to destroy such targets. Jake said. Understood. He activated his communicator. Defiance, this is Morrison. You are cleared for the demonstration. Fire when ready. On the Defiance's bridge, Commander Hayes nodded to the weapons officer. Lieutenant Clark, show them what we can do. Danny Clark was a young officer with steady hands and sharp eyes. He brought the targeting system online. Railgun charging. Capacitors at 40%, 60%, 80%, 100%. Weapon ready. Acquiring target. The main railgun hummed with barely contained power. Inside its magnetic chambers, a 200-kilogram tungsten rod aligned perfectly. Danny said, Target locked. Range 800,000 kilometers. Firing. There was no visible beam, no bright flash of light. The rod simply launched into space at impossible speed. On the observation deck, the gathered aliens leaned forward, watching the tracking display. 16 seconds later, the targeted asteroid exploded. Not just on the surface, but a complete structural failure. The 200-meter asteroid shattered into thousands of pieces, spreading out in an expanding cloud of debris. The observation deck erupted in shocked sounds. Vexella's many eyes blinked rapidly. Impossible. The target was destroyed instantly. Nathan Cross stood beside the alien. Kinetic energy. At 4% light speed, that 200-kilogram rod carried the same energy as a 40-megaton explosion. When it hit, all that energy was released in a fraction of a second. Luminar's crystal structure vibrated with confusion, but there was no explosion. No radiation, no heat signature. Nathan confirmed, exactly. Pure kinetic transfer. No wasted energy, no warning, just instant destruction. And because it is a solid object, there is nothing to spread out or deflect. Energy shields, which work by absorbing or redirecting energy, simply do not work against solid matter traveling at those speeds. On the Defiance, Danny was already finding his next target. Engaging Target 2. Range 1.5 million kilometers. This time the observers knew what to watch for. The tracking display showed the rod's path. A straight line from the Defiance to a 350-meter asteroid. 24 seconds after firing, the asteroid met the same fate as the first, breaking into a cloud of fragments. Sorath asked, "Your maximum range was stated as 2 million kilometers. Can you demonstrate that?" Jake smiled. Defiance engaged the farthest target. "Full range," Hayes responded. "Acknowledged." "Clark, the big one at maximum range." Danny brought up the targeting solution for a 500-meter asteroid at the edge of the test field, exactly 2 million kilometers away. "This is going to be interesting, sir. At this range, we have to account for gravity from Unity Station itself," Hayes assured him. "The computer can handle it." "Fire when ready," Danny said. Firing. The rod launched, and for nearly a minute nothing happened. The observers watched the tracking display as the tungsten projectile crossed the vast distance. Its path bent slightly as it passed through the station's gravity, but the computer had predicted this and adjusted the firing solution. 53 seconds after launch, the largest asteroid in the field ceased to exist. The kinetic impact was so violent that several smaller nearby asteroids were hit with debris traveling at significant speed, causing secondary damage. The observation deck fell completely silent. Finally, a council member Jake had not met before spoke. The being looked like a floating jellyfish. "This changes everything we know about space warfare." Nathan said, "Not just warfare. Consider civilian uses. We use smaller railgun systems to launch cargo into orbit from planets. It is far more efficient than chemical rockets or even your anti-gravity systems for heavy loads." Threshka was studying his monitoring equipment with intense focus. "I have been analyzing your power use. Each shot requires enormous energy, yet your ship's fusion reactor is smaller than standard Council designs. How is this possible?" Karen Wells stepped forward. "We use a different fusion approach. Council reactors focus on steady, continuous output for energy weapons and shields. Ours are designed for massive power spikes. We can push our reactor to 400% normal output for brief periods, charging our capacitor banks quickly." Threshka protested. "That should destroy the reactor." Karen agreed. "It would if we used your magnetic containment approach. But we use inertial confinement with rotating fuel pellets. The reactor can handle extreme stress because we are not trying to maintain a steady fusion reaction. We are creating controlled tiny explosions." Vexella turned to face the humans directly. "You have shown us the destructive power of your weapons. Now show us the defensive application you mentioned in your proposal." Jake nodded. "Defiance. Deploy the defensive drone." From the Defiance's hangar, a small sphere came out no more than 2 meters across. It positioned itself between the ship and another set of target asteroids. Jake explained, "This is a prototype point defense system. It uses the same railgun technology but smaller. Instead of 200-kilogram rods, it fires 2-kilogram projectiles at even higher speeds." Danny's hands moved across his console, simulating an incoming missile attack. Defense drone active. The asteroids, equipped with small thrusters, began moving toward the Defiance, acting like attacking missiles. The defense drone came to life, its multiple railgun ports tracking the incoming threats. In quick succession, the drone fired. Small flashes marked where the high-speed projectiles hit the asteroids, breaking them into harmless pieces. Within 10 seconds, all 12 simulated missiles had been destroyed. Nathan explained, The beauty of kinetic point defense is that it uses far less energy than laser systems. Each shot requires minimal power compared to maintaining a defensive energy shield, and the effective range is much greater than particle beams or plasma weapons. Luminar's crystal form pulsed with what might have been excitement. Combined with our shield technology, such a system could provide layered defense, energy shields for sustained energy weapon fire, kinetic interceptors for physical projectiles. Jake confirmed. Exactly what we proposed. Human kinetic technology and council energy systems working together. Sorath was quiet for a long moment, talking with the other council members through what looked like a private communication channel. Finally, he turned back to the humans. Captain Morrison, Dr. Cross, your demonstration has been enlightening and I must admit, somewhat alarming. The destructive potential of your weapons is clear. However, we also see the wisdom in your proposal. The galaxy is not as peaceful as we in the Council would like to believe. There are threats beyond our borders that do not respect our rules of warfare. Vexala added. The Kraith Dominion, a military empire beyond the Sagittarius arm. They have respected our borders only because the cost of war would be too high, but they do not share our values, and they are always seeking advantages. Luminar said, his sounds turning dark. If the Kraith were to develop kinetic weapons, they would not hesitate to use them for conquest. Jake saw his opportunity. Then help us help you. Let us create a joint research team, human engineers working with council scientists. We will develop defensive systems that combine our technologies and we will share what we learn. The jellyfish being, whose name Jake learned was Polaris, asked, And your offensive capabilities? Will you limit their spread? Jake agreed. We are willing to accept restrictions. No sales to non-council species. No technology transfer without council oversight. We are not looking to arm the galaxy, we are looking to protect it. Sorath exchanged glances with the other council members. Some unspoken communication passed between them, and finally, the silver-skinned alien nodded. Very well. The council accepts your proposal with conditions. A joint research facility will be established, overseen by representatives from both humanity and the council. All developments will be shared equally. Any military applications must be approved by a majority council vote before use. Jake said. We accept those terms, Sorath continued. Furthermore, humanity will be granted temporary council membership, with full membership to be reviewed after 5 years. During this time, Earth and its colonies will be under council protection, and human ships will have access to all council space. Jake replied. We are honored. Vexala approached, extending what looked like a formal greeting. 6 months after humanity joined the Galactic Council, Dr. Nathan Cross stood in the halls of the new joint research facility. The facility was built on a neutral moon orbiting a gas giant in council space. Around him, human engineers worked alongside alien scientists. Their different ways of thinking created interesting new ideas. Dr. Cross, you need to see this, called out Helen Parker, one of Earth's top materials scientists. She stood before a holographic display showing molecular structures that seemed to shift and flow. Nathan walked over, dodging a floating alien researcher whose see-through body drifted past. What have you got, Helen? Helen explained. I have been working with researcher Quillath on combining our composite armor with their energy dispersion technology. Look at these stress test results. The hologram showed a sample material being hit by both kinetic impacts and energy weapons. The material absorbed the energy weapons completely while the kinetic impacts left only minor surface damage. Nathan breathed. That is incredible. What is it made of? Quillath's crystal structure chimed with pride. A layered approach. Your carbon-tungsten composites provide the base, while our energy-reactive polymers form a second layer. When struck by energy weapons, the polymers absorb and spread the energy across the entire surface. Kinetic impacts are handled by your base material, Helen said. This could change ship armor for both our species. A council ship with this plating could survive human railgun fire, and a human ship could survive sustained plasma bombardment. Nathan instructed, make sure this goes into the next progress report. This is exactly the kind of breakthrough the council needs to see. Across the facility, Commander Pete Hayes was watching a different kind of teamwork. Human pilots and council navigators were doing joint training exercises in a simulator that combined both technologies. The key is anticipation, explained Lieutenant Sarah Kim, one of the Defiance's best pilots. She moved the controls, guiding a virtual human destroyer through a complex combat scenario. Council ships have better sensors and targeting systems, but our ships can change direction faster. If we work together properly, Council ships can identify threats while human ships move for the best firing positions. A Council navigator whose name was similar to Velix watched carefully. Your acceleration capabilities are still hard for us to understand. Our systems cannot handle such extreme forces, Pete explained. That is why we are exploring a mixed approach. What if we could put Council technology into human ships? We could push our acceleration even higher without killing the crew. Velix's many eyes widened. That would make your vessels incredibly dangerous, but also incredibly valuable as rapid response units. The peaceful atmosphere ended when alarms began ringing throughout the facility. Nathan's communicator came alive with Captain Morrison's voice. All personnel, this is not a drill. We have received an emergency message from Council Border Station Epsilon 7. They are under attack. Nathan ran to the command center, arriving just as the main display showed the transmitted data. A border station on the edge of Council space was under assault. But the attackers were unlike anything in the Council's files. Kraith Dominion vessels, identified Sorath, who had arrived at the facility for a scheduled visit. This is unprecedented. They have never openly attacked Council property before. The footage showed sleek, dangerous-looking ships launching weapons that looked nothing like what the Council had seen before. Instead of the expected plasma or laser fire, the Kraith vessels were using what appeared to be solid projectiles. Nathan said, his blood running cold. They are using railguns. They have already copied our technology, Threshka protested. Impossible. The demonstration was only 6 months ago and it was highly classified. Pete concluded grimly. They had spies at Unity Station, or they intercepted our transmissions. Either way, they figured it out. Jake Morrison's face appeared on the screen. The Council fleet is responding, but the nearest ships are 6 hours away. Epsilon 7 will not last that long against kinetic bombardment. Their energy shields are useless, Nathan asked. Where is the Defiance? Jake replied, 3 hours out. We are the only human ship in range. I am requesting permission to engage. Sorath hesitated. Captain Morrison, you would be facing an unknown number of Kraith vessels alone. The risk is considerable, Jake countered. The risk is worse if we do nothing. Epsilon 7 has 3,000 people on board. Besides, is not this exactly why we formed this partnership? To face threats the Council cannot handle alone? After a moment, Sorath nodded. You have Council authorization to engage. Protect our people, Captain. The transmission ended and the command center erupted into controlled chaos. Nathan turned to the assembled scientists and engineers. We need to get every piece of defensive technology we have developed to the Defiance right now. Helen, that new armor composite, can it be made quickly? Helen said, already pulling up files. Not full ship plating, but we could produce shield emitters. If we put the energy dispersion technology into portable units, the Defiance could deploy them as external shields. Nathan ordered. Do it. Quilath, help her. Pete, work with the weapons teams. If the Kraith have railguns, they might not have perfected them. We need to know their capabilities versus ours, Pete confirmed. On it. 2 hours later, the Defiance received a data burst from the research facility. It contained plans for the new shield technology and tactical analysis of the limited footage from Epsilon 7. In the ship's engineering bay, Karen Wells and her team worked frantically to build the shield emitters. Karen muttered, "These are brilliant. The energy matrix automatically adjusts frequency to match incoming fire. It will not stop our railguns, but it will reduce damage from Kraith weapons if they are less refined than ours." On the bridge, Jake studied the tactical display. "Lisa, what is your analysis of their railguns?" Lisa Grant highlighted several frames from the attack footage. Their fire rate is higher than ours, maybe one shot every 10 seconds, but the projectiles appear smaller and slower. I estimate they are achieving maybe 1% light speed, compared to our 4%, Jake thought. So less kinetic energy per shot, but more shots overall, Danny Clark observed from the weapon station. Makes sense if they copied from limited footage. They probably could not replicate our capacitor banks or fusion reactor output, so they scaled down. Pete added, which means they still have better range than Council vessels, but cannot destroy them in one shot like we can. They are using volume of fire to overwhelm shields, Jake decided. Then we have an advantage. Lisa, plot a course that keeps us at maximum range. Danny, prepare for long-distance engagement. We are going to hit them before they know we are there. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Epsilon 7 system. Its sensors immediately showed a bad picture. The border station's shields were failing under sustained kinetic bombardment from 5 Kraith warships. Each vessel was larger than the Defiance, covered in weapons and armor. Ben Carter reported from communications. They have detected us. Kraith fleet is repositioning. 3 vessels breaking off to engage us, Jake said. Perfect. Danny, target the lead ship. Maximum range. Let us see how they handle a real railgun. Danny announced. Weapon charged and ready. Range 1.8 million kilometers, firing. The Defiance's main railgun spoke, launching its deadly payload across the void. The Kraith vessels used to energy weapon ranges had not even begun dodging. 47 seconds later, the lead Kraith ship's middle section simply stopped existing. The tungsten rod punched through their armor like paper. The kinetic energy ripped the vessel in half. Secondary explosions went off along its length as systems failed. The remaining Kraith ships immediately went into evasive patterns. But their acceleration was worse than the Defiance's capabilities, Lisa reported. They are trying to close the range, accelerating at 3.5 Gs on an intercept course. Jake ordered, match their acceleration and maintain distance. Danny, acquire target 2. Danny said, firing. The second Kraith ship tried to dodge, its commander having seen the fate of the first vessel. But predicting the movement of a projectile traveling at 4% light speed across nearly 2 million kilometers required computing power the Kraith simply did not have. The dodge only delayed the end by a few seconds. Another Kraith vessel died, its hull torn apart by unstoppable kinetic force. Ben announced, the remaining 3 are retreating. They are heading for hyperspace jump points, Jake commanded. Let them go. Our priority is Epsilon 7. Lisa, damage report on the station. Lisa said, shields are down, multiple hull breaches, but the main structure is okay. They have stopped taking fire. Jake ordered, contact them. An alien face appeared on the screen. Its mouth parts trembled with stress. Human vessel Defiance, this is Station Commander Rylax. Your timing was miraculous. We had perhaps 10 minutes before total structural failure. Jake said, I'm glad we could help, Commander. We are sending damage control information and can provide engineering help if needed. Rylax replied, that would be most welcome, Captain Morrison. And Captain, on behalf of the Council and everyone on this station, thank you. We owe you our lives. Back at the Joint Research Facility, the command center erupted in cheers as the combat footage came through. 18 months after humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council, the Joint Research Facility had grown into a massive complex orbiting 3 moons. What started as a diplomatic gesture had become the center of galactic military innovation. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral and Commander of the Human Council Joint Fleet, stood in the observation deck of the facility's newest addition. It was a massive shipyard where the first generation of hybrid warships was taking shape. She is beautiful, breathed Commander Pete Hayes, now captain of his own vessel. Before them, the prototype ship called Unity-class cruiser hung in the construction cradle. At 600 meters long, she was much bigger than the Defiance, which now served as a training vessel. Her hull used the latest armor composites, layers of human carbon tungsten plating mixed with alien energy dispersion technology and crystal reinforcement. Admiral Kelly Shaw, Earth's representative to the Joint Defense Command, pulled up the ship's information on a portable display. The weapons loadout is impressive. 4 heavy railguns with plasma sheath technology, 12 medium railgun turrets for point defense, and 6 Council-designed plasma cannons for close-range fighting. Vexala, who had become the Council's main contact with the human military, added, do not forget the shields. Triple-layered energy barriers with kinetic dampening fields. She can take hits from both energy weapons and railguns, Jake asked. And the engines? Pete replied, that is where it gets interesting. Human fusion drives for main thrust, giving her 10G acceleration. But we have added Council anti-gravity systems for fine control and reduced power use during normal operations. Dr. Nathan Cross joined them, looking tired but satisfied. The mixed approach is working better than we hoped. By combining technologies, we are achieving capabilities neither side could reach alone. The Unity will have a maximum range of 3.5 million kilometers with her railguns, thanks to improved targeting computers that blend human prediction programs with Council sensor arrays. Jake marveled. 3.5 million kilometers. That is almost double what the Defiance could do. Nathan continued. And she can fire at a rate of 1 shot every 15 seconds from each heavy railgun. Not as fast as pure Kraith designs, but with far more destructive power per shot. Kelly asked, "How many more are in production?" Vexella reported, 20 Unity-class cruisers under construction across Council space, and Earth shipyards are building 12 more to human specifications but with Council shield technology. The first should be ready within 6 months, Jake said grimly. We will need them. Intelligence reports say the Kraith are building a major fleet. They are not happy about their failure at Epsilon 7, and they have had time to improve their railgun technology. As if called by his words, an alarm began sounding throughout the facility. Jake's communicator burst to life with Lisa Grant's urgent voice. Admiral Morrison, we have a situation. Long-range sensors have detected a massive Kraith fleet entering Council space. Current path suggests they are heading for the Valorian homeworld. The group rushed to the command center, where holographic displays showed the incoming threat. It was worse than anyone expected. Over 200 Kraith vessels, the largest fleet ever assembled by the Dominion, was moving toward the heart of Council territory. Nathan observed, "They are not raiding anymore. This is an invasion." Sarath appeared via holographic projection. His silver skin rippled with distress. The Council defense fleet is moving to stop them. But we have only 150 vessels in range. Most of our forces are spread across our territory, and they cannot reach Valorian space in time. Jake asked, "What about the Unity?" Vexella reported, "Still 3 weeks from being ready. We could rush her into service, but her crew has not completed training." Jake decided, "Then we use what we have. How many human ships are available?" Kelly reported, "The Defiance and 7 destroyers. The newer cruisers will not be ready for another month." Pete said, 8 ships against 200? Even with our advantages, those odds are suicide. Jake countered, "Not if we are smart about it." Nathan, could we modify the hybrid plasma sheath technology for use on our existing railguns? Nathan replied, "In theory, yes. But it would take days to upgrade each ship, and we do not have days." Danny Clark, who had been monitoring the tactical situation, suggested, "What if we did not upgrade the ships? What if we built external weapons platforms? Deploy them along the Kraith approach path as force multipliers?" Lisa's eyes lit up. "Mobile railgun batteries. We could position them at strategic points, link them to our ship's targeting systems, and catch the Kraith in a crossfire." Jake demanded, "How quickly could we build them?" Helen Parker was already running calculations. "With the facility's building systems and every engineer we have working all day and night, we could deploy 50 platforms in 72 hours. Sorath noted, "The Kraith fleet will reach Valorian space in 96 hours. "It would be close," Jake said. "Then we better get started. Helen, work with the building teams. Nathan, work with Council scientists to optimize the platforms for maximum range and fire rate. Danny, Pete, start planning the tactical deployment. Lisa, I need detailed predictions of the Kraith fleet's most likely approach paths." Kelly asked, "What about me?" Jake instructed, "Contact Earth, let them know what we are doing. If this does not work, humanity might need to evacuate our Council embassy and prepare for the Kraith to come after us next." The next 72 hours were a blur of activity. The facility's building systems ran continuously, producing weapons platforms that combined human railgun technology with Council power systems and targeting arrays. Each platform was a scaled-up version of the point defense drones, but these were designed for ship-to-ship combat at extreme ranges. Meanwhile, the Council fleet gathered at Valorian space, taking defensive positions around the homeworld. Council vessels, their armor newly reinforced with human composite materials, formed a defensive sphere. The 8 human ships, led by the Defiance, positioned themselves at strategic points outside this sphere. Lisa reported as the Defiance took its position, "All platforms are deployed. 50 weapons platforms distributed along the projected Kraith approach path, each equipped with medium railguns and linked to our targeting network." Ben Carter added, "Council fleet reports ready. Admiral Korvax is requesting coordination information." Jake opened a channel to the Council flagship. "Admiral Korvax, our strategy depends on range advantage. Your vessels should hold position until the Kraith close to within 100,000 kilometers. At that range, your plasma weapons become effective. The elderly alien admiral's image appeared on screen. His many eyes blinked in acknowledgement. And your forces, Admiral Morrison? Jake explained. We will engage at maximum range 3 million kilometers out. Between our ships and the weapons platforms, we should be able to reduce their numbers before they reach your defensive line. Korvax agreed. A sound strategy. May fortune favor us all. Jake broadcast to the human fleet. All ships, this is Morrison. We are about to face the largest hostile force humanity has ever encountered. I will not lie to you, the odds are not good. But remember, we are not just fighting for the Council or for Earth. We are fighting to prove that our way of thinking, our approach to solving problems, has value. The Kraith think they can copy our technology and use it against us. Let us show them why that was a mistake. Across the fleet, crews responded with determination. On the Defiance, Danny Clark ran final checks on the weapon systems. Karen Wells monitored the power distribution, ready to push the fusion reactor to its limits. Lisa Grant worked with the weapons platforms, making sure their targeting solutions were perfectly synchronized. Ben announced, contact. Kraith fleet dropping out of hyperspace at 5 million kilometers. The holographic display filled with red markers, each representing a Kraith warship. They came in tight formation, their vessels moving with military precision. Pete observed, they have definitely improved their tactics. That formation is designed to maximize overlapping fields of fire. Lisa reported, weapons platforms acquiring targets, railguns charging. Jake ordered, hold fire until they are in best range. Let them come to us. The Kraith fleet advanced, apparently confident in their numerical superiority. At 3.5 million kilometers, they were beyond the range of Council weapons, but well within the capability of human railguns with Council targeting systems. Danny announced, range optimal. All platforms locked on targets, Jake commanded. All ships and platforms. Fire at will. 50 weapons platforms and 8 human warships opened fire at once. The void between the fleets lit up with invisible death as railgun. Projectiles streaked toward the Kraith formation at speeds impossible to see. The Kraith had clearly learned from their defeat at Epsilon 7. Their formation immediately broke apart, ships scattering in pre-planned evasive patterns. But they had not expected the sheer volume of fire the human force could generate. 15 Kraith vessels died in the first attack, their hulls torn apart by tungsten rods traveling at 4% light speed. The plasma sheaths created cascading energy discharges that disabled nearby ships' targeting systems. Lisa warned, they are returning fire. Count 180 incoming projectiles.